Do you know when true character is born? Not in the spotlight, not under applause, but in silence. In the quiet hours, when no one is watching, no one is clapping, and no one will ever know what you did, that's where transformation lives. That's where greatness is forged. You don't become exceptional by doing what's expected. You become exceptional by choosing discipline when it's easier to indulge, by choosing courage when fear offers you an easier path, by keeping your promise to yourself when no one would blame you for breaking it. Because the truth is, the world rewards what it sees, but life responds to who you really are. When the room is empty, when the lights are off, and the stakes seem low and excuses are high, it's where you are built. It's not your goals that define you. It's your habits, not your dreams, but your decisions. Not what you post, but what you practice. What you repeat in the dark, you will eventually reveal in the light. Look around. Every person you admire for their unshakable confidence, their unstoppable drive, their remarkable success, they weren't born that way. They weren't handed strength. They weren't blessed with motivation on tap. They trained it. They chose it. They earned it one quiet decision at a time. Edison failed 1,000 times before he gave the world light. He didn't wait for permission. He didn't need praise, because he believed in the unseen. He showed up to his lab day after day, not for the fame, but because he had work to do. Do you have work to do? Then stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for people to notice. Stop needing proof before you act. Because the most powerful evidence is the one you build brick by brick, when no one else is around to see it. Discipline is choosing the hard road when the easy one is paved with comfort, saying no to temporary pleasure in exchange for permanent strength. And every time you do that, you make a deposit in the account of your future self. You can't fake consistency. You can't Photoshop character. You can't outsource belief. What you really believe about yourself is what you do when it's hard, when it's lonely, when it's quiet. Because when you look in the mirror, you don't remember the days you got applause. You remember the days you didn't quit, the days you showed up broken, tired, uncertain, and still gave your best. That's where pride comes from. That's where self-respect is born. Every time you choose discipline in private, you build strength in public. Every time you silence excuses, you awaken confidence. Every time you choose your purpose over your preference, you become a little more unstoppable. Let the others chase attention. You chase legacy. Let them show off. You show up. Let them talk. You do. This is not about impressing anyone. This is about becoming someone you don't have to lie to. This is about sleeping at night, knowing you lived your day with intention. You think you need motivation? What you really need is integrity. A decision to become the kind of person who follows through no matter what. Because when you practice excellence in private, life eventually rewards you in public. But even if it doesn't, even if no one sees it, you will know. And that's where unshakable self-belief begins. Asterisk when no one's watching, intention becomes your only audience. The work you do in those unseen hours is the only work that matters. Because long after applause fades, your legacy remains engraved in the echoes of your private discipline. Every champion, whether Edison, Lincoln, Ford, or Disney, understood this. True mastery doesn't happen on stage. It happens in the lab at 2 a.m., in training while others sleep, in the pages of books read during lunch breaks. When no cameras are rolling and there's no validation at stake, Henry Ford was told his car would never work. Yet he woke up at dawn and tested prototypes in silence. He endured failure after failure because he knew that success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who persist in silence. Every quiet setback made his eventual triumph louder. Look, your consistency is your power. Not the flashiest moments, but the days you choose to do the work over and over again. Those are the days that shape your destiny. Not because the world watches them, but because you become the person who does them. Let's talk about mindset, the silent forge of greatness. Your thoughts are seeds. If you plant excuses, you'll harvest stagnation. If you water doubt, your roots will shrivel. But if you plant discipline, fed by conviction, your character will grow strong enough to withstand any storm. That's how. You rewire your story, not by waiting for change, but by acting as if change is already within you. The mind can either be your highest ally or your deepest saboteur. It's the one battlefield where the war is won before the first rope is climbed. Fail here, and you never leave the ground. But win here, and you'll find courage in every muscle, every breath, every pursuit. So build that battlefield in your mind. Train silence, train stillness, train habits. Train the invisible decisions that define who you are becoming. Inner life, be your fortress, and daily live as if you're the hero of your own story. Because in those moments, you're alone. You are. Let's be honest. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good muscle. It's the foundation of stability. When you thank yourself for the small wins, waking early, saying no to distractions, choosing growth, you honor your own potential. Validate your process even when external validation is absent. When you practice gratitude, you're declaring, I see the progress, I appreciate the struggle, I own my path. This daily ceremony builds unshakable confidence, rooted not in vanity, but in quiet acknowledgement. That gratitude shifts your energy. It reprograms those internal algorithms that speak fear and limitation. Instead, you feed words like, I trusted the process, I gave my best, I stayed consistent, and eventually, those statements become facts etched in your character. Invisibility is not a curse, it's a canvas. On that canvas, you paint your future. With every quiet action, every overlooked decision, every ounce of effort you put in when no one sees, that canvas becomes art, and that art your life becomes powerful. But to paint it, you must first refuse to be distracted. In a culture built on algorithms and comparisons, where attention is the currency, your ability to control your attention becomes revolutionary. You must become immune to the noise, to the scroll, to the dopamine hit, to the affirmations tied to likes. Because when you give your life to digital applause, you're still giving away your power. Instead, cultivate attention, your attention on your goals, on your route, on your growth, on your purpose. Even if it's boring, even if it's internal, even if it's quiet, you desire greatness. You must protect your gaze. Focus isn't accidental, it's intentional. Then there's love, self-love. Not vanity, not narcissism, but trust. And you trust yourself enough to keep agreements too. Honor your word. To build your inner fortress, you fall into a lifelong partnership with your potential. That trust is sacred and unshakable. It's the currency you draw on when others doubt you. When success seems far, when failure stares back, that trust says, I've got you. I won't quit on you. I believe in you. That is the difference between those who start and those who finish, between the fired up and the forged. The famous and the forgotten. Remember Edison? He didn't fail 10,000 times and collapse. He kept saying, I have not failed, because he trusted his design. He believed deeply in the outcome. And that belief was the compass that guided him through every setback. It wasn't evidence. It was assurance. Self-trust is the only evidence you'll ever need. So train it daily in small ways. By keeping silent commitments when no one watches. By upholding your principles when shortcuts tempt you. By honoring your values in isolation. What you do when no one's watching is the seed. What you become when you're faced with storms and still act as the harvest. You'll face storms. You'll face rejection, disappointment, financial strain, health issues, relationships that fail, doors that close, opportunities that vanish. That's the nature of the journey. But it's not the end. It's the excavation, the digging field, where your roots burrow deep. Allow yourself to be tested. Allow yourself to be tried. Allow yourself to be transformed. What you want is on the other side of resistance. Your purpose, your calling, your impact. And the path there isn't paved with comfort. It's curved with courage. So choose courage. Choose repetition. Choose integrity. Choose to be the person who builds silently, consistently, relentlessly until no one can deny who you've become. Let's keep going. Asterisk, when you act in the silence, unseen, unpraised, you lay the foundation for greatness. Every invisible choice to rise, to show up, to keep going writes a line in your story, and those lines begin to carve your soul. And before the world notices, you already begin to change. Quartz-like, your resolve is formed under pressure. The harder the test, the stronger the material. If you want to become unshakable, you must welcome pressure as your ally, not your enemy. Watch the blacksmith. He doesn't separate the iron from the fire, he uses the fire to refine the iron. And inside you, there is iron awaiting refinement. You cannot define your future by how the world defines you. The world will judge, compare, distract, even shame you. But your identity must originate from within, from your values. Invisible commitments. Vision is your internal compass. It directs your steps when the trail disappears. When fatigue settles in, when the lights go out, and there is nothing but the sound of your breath and your heartbeat. At that moment, vision must be louder than fear, clearer than pain, stronger than exhaustion. Your vision must be loud enough to scare away every excuse, every doubt. So see clearly, what future are you building for yourself? Is it one shaped by others, by expectations, or is it one born? In your silence crafted day by day in your authenticity, integrity, and aligned action, purpose fuels motion, action ignites belief, and repetition reinforces identity. A single act alone doesn't change you. But when you repeat it daily, week after week, it becomes you. That's the power of rituals. That's why the quiet routines, early wake-ups, the focused work, the intentional rest are the most dangerous force in the universe. They compound. They construct. They create. When action and vision collide, they produce momentum, and momentum is unstoppable. It doesn't matter. What you're up against, an obstacle becomes a speed bump. A roadblock becomes a challenge. A setback becomes the next springboard. Now let me ask you this. When resistance hits because it will do you allow it to define you or to refine you? Do you collapse beneath the weight or do you shoulder it and carry it toward your purpose? The people worth remembering don't avoid resistance, they build under it. John D. Rockefeller didn't fear adversity, he courted it. He learned, he adapted, he invested. He created oil empires amid uncertain markets. He understood success was not delivered in comfort, but forged in chaos. Adaptation is your weapon. Resilience is your armor. Flexibility becomes your strategy. When one path closes, be ready to carve another, not because you're unstable, but because you're conscious and architect of your own map, not a passenger on someone else's road. So sharpen your mind, strengthen your resolve, align your purpose. Become fluent in your chosen way, so that when storms come, your feet don't tremble. Your vision becomes your anchor. Your identity becomes your shield. And the person you see in the mirror becomes your strongest advocate. Because nothing matters. More than being able to say at any point in your life, I became this. Not because the world applauded me, but because I chose to rise. That choice is your power, your discipline, your devotion to who you truly are. And that devotion changes everything. Asterisk, when you live intentionally in your unseen choices. Align with your highest purpose. Gratitude becomes your silent anthem. Not gratitude for things, but for becoming. For the chance to test your limits, for the space to grow stronger, for the clarity that pain is not punishment, it's possibility. Gratitude isn't a crutch, it's courage disguised. Because when you thank yourself for the struggle, you dismantle the illusion that suffering is wasted. Affirm that every challenge carried value, that every bruise taught something that softness never could. Walt Disney lost his studio, faced bankruptcy, and was told he lacked imagination. Yet somewhere in the darkness, he whispered thanks for the lessons. For it was inside those valleys that he found the blueprint for magic. Because he refused to settle for less than visionary, your willingness to be grateful for every lesson, no matter how hard, becomes a testimony of resilience. It reaps desperation into determination, transforms scarcity into resourcefulness. It converts obstacles into opportunities. Now, Learning isn't just about absorbing knowledge, it's about applying it. It's not enough to read books or listen to mentors. You must live the lessons, you must test them under fire, fail, reflect, apply again, because true wisdom is not theory, it's tested truth. Edison didn't read a million manuals, he tested, repeated, failed, and moved forward. Tesla didn't dream in isolation, he experimented over and over until the world caught up. Disney didn't just imagine, he built. We still live in his imagination today. That's why growth is not optional, it's essential. You either evolve through mess, through mistakes, the mundaner you atrophy. Choose stagnation, and life stagnates around you. Choose growth, and the universe begins to conspire with your courage. But let's address something sacred: rest. This journey is not about grinding until burnout. It's about mastering the rhythm of action and recovery. Even the mightiest tree rests in winter. Even Edison took breaks. Even kings slept. Rest renews. It recalibrates your heart. It heals your edges, and it sharpens your edge anew. So guard your rest like it's part of the battle plan, because it is. Discipline isn't just pushing harder, it's also pausing smarter, because a rested warrior fights longer and fights stronger. A rested mind sees clearer. A rested spirit remains anchored, even when storms rage. So here's what we've built so far: the courage to act in silence, the clarity to define your vision, the discipline to repeat and refine the resilience, to welcome resistance, the gratitude to embrace growth, the wisdom to learn and apply the rest to recover and rise again. Those 7 pillars that fortress you're building in the shadows is what makes the light feel unstoppable when morning comes. Because success is not a destination, it is a demonstration. A demonstration of who you have become. And that person tempered by silence, tested by struggle, built by action, grounded in gratitude is unstoppable as asterisk in the end. It is not the applause that proves you're worth it, it is the unwavering conviction in your quietest hours. The deepest validation comes not from followers, critics, or public acclaim. It comes from the one person you face every day in the mirror, the person who saw you at your weakest, and yet said, "I will become more." That person is you. Legacy is not written on noisy stages, it's etched in silent choices. Every morning you rise, every moment you resist complacency, every decision you make when the world isn't watching. These are the acts that define you. So I ask you, can you outlast your excuses? Can you endure your own doubt? Can you outwork your fears, one day at a time, one action at a time? Yes, then you are already unstoppable. Because greatness isn't given to the loud, but to the consistent. Not to those who chase trends, but to those who remain loyal to their values. Not to those who pray for the easy path, but to those who respect the climb. This is why you become what you do when no one's watching, because your private life writes your public legacy. You're standing at the crossroads now. One path leads. Too easy gratification, too hollow applause, to a life dictated by circumstance. The other is paved in discipline, shaped by choice, and crowned with quiet confidence. It's not the easier path. It's the right one, because what you build in private empowers your presence in public. What you create in silence prepares you for storms. What you endure in isolation becomes your armor against distraction, doubt, and defeat. Your character was cultivated in those nights when you didn't quit. Your future is forged in the process that happened when no one else knew your name. What happens next is simple. You rise. Not because you deserve it, but because you earned it. You rise with purpose. You rise with conviction. You rise with humility, gratitude, courage, and clarity. Your story isn't about being seen. It's about being known. Known for your integrity. Known for your discipline. Known for never compromising, no matter the cost. Success that's built on sound foundations never collapses. It broadcasts itself through your calm in chaos, your faith in doubt, your hope in darkness, your love for the long game. Walk forward now with the promise of your private legacy echoing in every step. Live by the truth of your invisible actions. and the world will eventually catch up. But even if it doesn't, two will know who you have become. You become what you do when no one's watching. Let that truth guide you. Let it strengthen you. Let it transform you. The stage may one day arrive, but know this: the person who deserves the spotlight is the one who earned it in the silence. Live the quiet champion's life. Build in private, shine in public, become unstoppable. In the silence after the storm, you discover your true power because you built your inner fortress brick by brick long before the thunder even came. And now, storms will come down. Distraction, rejection, uncertainty. But your foundation is earthquake-proof. It's not because you expected smooth roads, it's but because you've prepared for the cracks. Your unseen sacrifices become your unseen armor. Every early hour, every lonely night, every moment you chose growth over comfort, these are the reserves you'll draw upon when life demands more than you thought you had. And you will surprise yourself because what you've built in private is more potent than any external force. But there's something deeper, something silent that defines your journey. It isn't your skill, it isn't your network, it's your response, not to success, but to everything else, to loss, to criticism, to failure, to betrayal. Promise you this: your next level is waiting on the other side of your emotional mastery. If you master your feelings, you master your destiny. Every setback becomes a tutor. Every closed door becomes a lesson. Every criticism becomes clarity. Most people run when things break, but you will listen. You will let every stone throw. Reveal what really matters. You will let adversity be your mirror, showing you exactly where your steel must strengthen. The greatest leaders throughout history haven't been fearless, they've been focused. They didn't flinch at pain, they filtered it, refined it, and used it. They stepped into criticism, not to crumble, but to find clarity. They walked through fire, not to break, but to become. So pivot. Not because you're weak, but to stay. Winning, bend, don't break. Adapt, don't apologize. Fall, don't evaporate. Your ability to pivot without losing your foundation is your legend in motion. And that legend is built, again, in silence. Asterisk, there's a voice inside you whispering, is it enough? Will this ever be enough? That voice is your humanity, but it's not your destiny. So you rise again, not to silence it, but to prove it wrong. Not because you hate doubt, but because you embrace growth. Doubt exists only to reveal the glass ceiling you've yet to shatter. Every great design begins with an impossible question: can I? Edison's question was, can I light the world? Disney's was, can I build magic out of imagination? Your question, can I become this? Or anyone ever knew I would? The answer isn't waiting. You must build it, you must act it, you must live it. And when you catch yourself hesitating, remind yourself, look what you've already become. Unseen. Your current ceiling is not your ceiling. It's just where your courage paused, so break it. Break that freelance ceiling, that half-baked idea ceiling, that fear of judgment ceiling. Break it and walk through naked with confidence that comes from trust, not applause. Because real confidence is invisible. It doesn't need followers. It doesn't need likes. It doesn't need permission. It needs only alignment. Alignment with action, with courage, with purpose. Make no mistake, this life is your project, your legacy. Legacy is not built by wish. It's built by wills. By stubborn courage, by quiet refusal, by relentless consistency, by choosing vision over ease, or refusing to fade. When the path narrows, you do not widen, grow narrower, or focus sharper. You illuminate a single candle instead of demanding a floodlight. In that candle's glow, others will see not just the path, they will find hope to ignite their own fire. Asterisk, in the end, it is not about reaching, it's about becoming. Becoming the person who naturally outpaces the obstacles, whose heart, mind, spirit align into a single unstoppable force. Your visible achievements, they are just the surface. The real achievement is the depth beneath the unseen toughness, untouchable calm, unbreakable will. So now, stand in your silent victory. Smile at the reflection of the person who didn't quit, who kept building, who sacrificed comfort for character, who chose integrity over ease. That reflection is not an echo, it is prophecy fulfilled. Your life from here on is marked by this. You are the sum of your invisible acts. Your legacy rooted not in your narrative, but in your nature. And your nature you have molded in quiet, in darkness, in doubt, but without ever breaking. Rise now, calm/clear. Ready. You are the storm survivor, the silent warrior, the unseen architect of your own greatness. Live this, breathe this, become this, and when the world finally looks your way, they'll only see the summit, but you'll know you were the mountain all along. Asterisk, you stand now at the final threshold. Behind you are nights of silent crafting, moments of discipline no one witnessed. Days when you did what many wouldn't, and ahead greater storms, bigger tests, opportunities unseen. This is not the end, it's your real beginning. Look at John D. Rockefeller. He started with nothing, faced countless failures, and built one of the world's greatest empires. He once said that success comes from doing the thing you're afraid to do until fear no longer holds you back. Do you feel that? That trembling call forward? That whisper of purpose? Whisper is your future self reminding you? The climb isn't over. The transformation isn't complete. The mountain is still rising, and so are you. So what do you do now? You stop watching the road ahead and start walking it. You stop hoping you'll feel ready and walk ready into the unknown. You stop asking for permission and give yourself the right to become. You are not defined by what's behind you. You're defined by who you're becoming. In the silence, in the struggle, in the invisible pursuit of excellence. Every fight you've faced, every doubt you've broken, every barrier you've scaled, they all met the same response inside you. Clarity.com. Courage, because you know something that most never learn. What you become in the darkness is what shines in the light. Edison's light didn't shine because he waited for recognition. It shined because he worked in the dark. Rockefeller's empire wasn't built on applause. It was built by relentless action against resistance. Now it's your turn. Live as if no one is watching, and build as if everyone depends on you. Show up when no opportunity knocks, answer harder. Hold firm when every part of you wants to fold. Stand stronger, grow deeper when the world only sees surface. In the end, life will reflect not the applause you received, but the person you became in private. So go, be bold, be alone with your vision. Be unstoppable in your quiet preparations, because greatness isn't loud, it's legitimate. It's named in the silent discipline, the private fight. The second refusal to quit, your legacy doesn't need a spotlight, it needs your asterisk, in the quiet that follows the storm of your efforts. There lies a truth most people never see. Your legacy is built in your silence, your grind, your unseen resolve. While the world measures success in likes, status, and applause, your soul measures success in the promises you kept when no one was watching. John D. Rockefeller once said, "I would rather be my own tyrant than have someone else tyrannize me." Mastering his will and directing every impulse toward his. Vision thecompleteleader.org. That level of self-control didn't come from comfort, it came from conviction. When you have the courage to confront yourself in solitude, to own your decisions, that's when true mastery begins. Thomas Edison, working in the Menlo Park darkness, didn't see failures, he saw steps toward invention. He didn't fail 1,000 times. He said, "The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps." Wikipedia.org. +4, quote, fancy.com. +4, Larry4.edublogs.org. +4, each setback taught him, reshaped him, prepared him. Your steps aren't detours there, your path in motion. Every small attempt, every repeated effort, every grit-filled moment builds your strength. Success doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't reward your potential. It recognizes your process, your invisible consistency, your unwavering devotion to your own standards. because you become what you do when no one's watching, not when the crowd sees, but when only your heart notices. That hidden repetition softens your soul into unbreakable armor. So now, carry this with you. Your choices, not your chances, define your destiny. Your habits, not your highlights. Create your character, your private discipline, not your public. Display earns your honor. Go ahead dries daily. Answer your calling. Do the unseen work. Fight the invisible battle. Build under the radar. And when the world finally listens, when opportunity knocks, when recognition comes, it won't be the announcement that defines you. It'll be the foundation you laid in the silence. You've done the work. You've paid the price. You've refused to compromise. You've stayed hidden, hungry, and ready. Now is the time to stand, to speak, to shine. Because greatness doesn't ask for permission, it demands presence, and you. You've already proven you belong. You're ready. You. Become what you do when no one's watching. Live it. Own it. Become it now.